And we're back again to the second part of what makes our inner work work, part 9. And this is the part which we devote to talking about what we spoke of in the first part, and general questions and whatever you like, really, relating to the inner work. So you're really welcome sorry, to either write questions or comments in the chat in the Zoom room, and you can also talk live. Okay, but we'll begin for now with the question that someone sent me yesterday, I think. She said more or less, I studied Zen Shiatsu. They said that giving treatments to others was a way to practice Zen, and the inner development is the goal. So she means, I think, that the person giving Zen Shiatsu is also working on his own inner development as they're giving the treatment. I also thought that meeting people and life challenges bring growth and development. Also, that you're supposed to teach in order to relearn. And the question is what you say about doing your inner work by yourself in contradiction to that. So thanks for this question. Of course, doing the inner work and our life work in general has numerous aspects to it. And of course, just living can be doing the inner work, just allowing ourselves to live, really live, to experience and to try things and to explore things in our lives. Of course, we will develop through that very often, especially if we allow ourselves to feel, which so many people don't. And of course, working with others is also, a way of doing the work to a certain extent. And many other things as well. However, from working for, I can almost say dozens of years with myself, and more than 20 years with many other people and students, and facilitating many people, again and again, I noticed something very important and interesting. And that is that the moment where people start combining all the other methods and ways of doing the inner work with actually doing it themselves is a moment of great importance and often of great transformation. It's a moment of great responsibility, which we are accepting. It's a moment of saying, okay, I have a tool here, or a method, or an approach, and I'm going to actually learn and teach myself, with or without help, how to do it myself. I stop being I stop having to rely on other people to do my work with me. Okay, again, I can still work with others at the same time. I can still study with teachers. There's no contradiction. I can still treat people if I give treatments, whatever. But if I don't do my own work by myself as well, things won't move forward very much. That is most definitely what I see again and again and again. And the moment people do begin to do the work, themselves, then their life suddenly begins to improve considerably in so many ways. Now, again, it's not always easy. It can be very tough sometimes, but the fruit that we get is so nourishing that we become really deeply aware of how worthwhile it is, even if sometimes it's painful work or scary work and so on and so forth. Now, what I see even more is that often in the beginning, we manage to work once in a while alone by ourselves, especially when we're in, we're really, really suffering, whether it's in a relationship or we're terribly depressed or sad or afraid or something like that. And that kind of gives us the drive to do the work. And then little by little, we become better at doing the work. And then we might do some more work, more often. And then we might even begin to do work once in a while, not because we're suffering right now, but because it becomes part of nourishing ourselves on a regular basis. And then there's another transformational point, I believe, and that is even a little harder to get to, and that is managing to do work with myself every day or almost every day. Okay, it doesn't mean we can't go on vacation. Sometimes we need to just stay in bed for the entire day and read a book. That's absolutely fine. Okay, but generally speaking, kind of just doing something every day. And it's also extremely helpful and kind of makes our process go smoother and faster if we have at least one thing that we do really every day. It can be, for example, a kind of ceremony, shamanic ceremony, or some ceremony that we devise for ourselves and that we do every day. For example, each morning or each evening or whatever, and there is something about this continuity, commitment, and managing to just do it again and again and again. It can change as we do it, but again and again and again. It's not about saying the same exact words every day necessarily, or doing the same movements or whatever it is. Okay, it can transform, but I do it and I do it and I do it. And there is this thing that I talked about earlier in one of the episodes that is mental and spiritual stamina and muscles, and really developing our ability to do the work continuously is one of the best ways of strengthening and empowering ourselves. And once I'm stronger and more empowered, and then suddenly something horrible happens in my life, or I don't know, or some new thing arises from my unconscious that I need to start taking care of, then I'm better placed to do that because I'm stronger, I'm more empowered, I have the muscles, the spiritual muscles to work, and I'm less afraid to disappoint myself and all sorts of things, okay? And I also have this kind of growing sense of what works and how to discern it, okay, and how to not kid myself about that. Okay, so I hope this is helpful. It's not that just living and thinking about life and meeting people isn't part of the work. It is, very much so. but we're talking about advancing things much, much more than that. Okay. So, any more questions or comments? Let's see. And if you want to speak out loud, which can be very nice, you can raise your hand. You go into participants and then you click raise your hand. It's very similar if you're on a mobile phone. There are, I think, 3 dots there that you need to touch and click on, and then you see all the options. Any more? I'll give it a moment because sometimes somebody is typing and it takes a while. As we're waiting, do you want to speak with your voice, or are you typing now? If you'd like to speak, typing, okay, great. So we'll patiently wait a little bit more. Meanwhile, I suggest you if you'd like, look at yourself and see, in regards to this last question I spoke about, where you're at and how, if you'd like, you could kind of step up your inner work with a lot of compassion and understanding when it doesn't work, and just, do this little extra more and build your stamina little by little. I sound kind of, I'm reading from the chat, I sound kind of silly to myself to say that, but I'm worried I'll do it wrong when I'll do it alone. Thank you for that and for your honesty. So, of course, it's a relevant worry. That's why I'm not saying, don't study with other people, don't read books. Of course not. And there are, from my point of view, times in our lives when we need to have a teacher. And it's always good to be a student. Once in a while, I go and study something new, even though I'm very experienced in what I do, because it's a good thing to be a student. There's also always more to learn. And it's good sometimes to work with somebody who's an expert at something, of course, naturally. But as you say, you continue to type. The thing is, I study all my life. Yeah, understand. So now let's get into it. The thing is, when you fear or when you're worried that you'll do it wrong, apart from, reality, we can, as when we begin things, do stuff wrong or in a way that doesn't work. But apart from that, what usually happens is that we're identified with inner parts of all sorts and kinds. And these inner parts are the parts that are worried that we'll do it wrong. Okay. So if, for example, I'm identified with a side that is worried, that's its essence, I won't be able to separate, kind of worry that is I'd say wise worry, just paying attention. It's kind of a good way to worry. Just, I'll be responsible. I pay attention. I'll be careful with the work I do. And this needs to be separated from I'm worried, or I don't trust myself, or I doubt. Okay, all these are things that are feelings, thoughts, and beliefs of inner parts. And they can also stem from collective parts, collective voices in society. For example, let's say things like, I don't know, you're a woman, so you don't think straight, or all sorts of things like that float around in our world, and influence us. So what I would do in such a case is this. I would sit down and say, okay, what I'm feeling now is I'm worried that I'll do it wrong. Who inside me is feeling this worry? I'd really like to get to know you. And then if I do it via voice dialogue or flowering diamond way, I would start talking with this part until it becomes very, very clear to me, not only what it's saying and feeling, but who it is. Is it a 3-year-old girl? Is it the inner critic? Is it the inner doubter? Is it Mr. Worry? Or is it Mrs. Disaster will always come? All these things exist within us to different extents. And then after I talked with whoever is really worried that I won't be able to do my inner work right, it's kind of separated from me a little bit. Okay, I'm more in my aware eye. And then usually I would talk with a voice, an inner part or self that perhaps believes that I can learn to do my inner work right in a way that works. Okay? And then in between these two polarities, I'd be much, much clearer. I'd both be kind of cautious, but in a way that doesn't stop me, more like responsible. Okay, but I would also be supportive of myself and make it possible for me to actually start doing my inner work and figure it out. Okay, how to do it in a way that doesn't cause me damage. Okay, because there is something in this worry. Of course, we can cause damage. Okay, so we learn good approaches and we get help, and then little by little we start doing the work. It's a process. We can't go from A to B, not to talk about Z, in one jump, and it doesn't work that way. So we need to build it, but we can't do it if we're completely and automatically identified with the worrier or the doubter, etc. I hope this is something that helps you. So we really need to start at some point and figure it out as we go along. Thanks for the question. Anybody else? You can also talk with your voice, as I said. Did what I say answer your question? Yes, thank you. Okay, I'm glad. Anybody else want to talk about anything? Okay, so this is it for today, I guess. Thank you very much, as usual, for joining me. We'll meet again next Monday and talk about another thing in this tapestry of things that I believe make our inner work work. And I think it's on the 14th that there will also be a meeting, a conversation I'm going to be having with Tim Kelley. So you're also invited to that. Oh, Sarah, do you want to say something? You raised your hand.
Oh, I mute myself. Yeah, I just I woke up into this because I had a special special night, a surprise. I said to a friend of mine if she wants to come to the beach. It was 11 o'clock when we went to the beach, and we had just adventures.
So I just want you to, if you have a question or anything to say, just let's make it a bit shorter.
I'm I'm trying to work to find cold characters, like you told me like 2 weeks ago.
Good.
It's very hard for me to do, and I'm an actress, so I'm doing it acting side sometimes. But I see that, I was really praying to God to know how to be angry in last summer, and then He showed me how to be angry, and now I don't know how not. I became like a Moroccan, hot-tempered.
You've become hot-headed.
Again.
Okay.
It's too much sometimes, and now because I deal with the money and bank and what happened to the. I have so many conversations, and that I hear myself. But I became very, איך אומרים, תוקפנית.
Oh, I forgot the word. Help, we forgot the word. Well, anyway, aggressive. Thank you. Somebody wrote it in the chat room. Thanks. What? You're muted. You were muted for a second. Continue.
To negotiate with so many companies that you see on Facebook, because I was interested in a loan that is instead of mashkanta, before mashkanta.
Okay.
All these conversations, yesterday I find myself really, איך אומרים, גסת רוח.
Rude.
Rude. Yeah, because I'm so busy, and I took on myself also to organize lectures in my house. Today there is a lecture, and
okay, so I understand more or less what you're talking about, I think. Now, of course, it's very important to say something here. We can mainly discuss things here on a kind of theoretical basis, because I'm not actually doing the work with Sarah. Now, when you actually do the work, I would say, Sarah, would you move to another seat, please? And let's begin with whoever inside you is rude and hot-headed. And then we would talk with this thing that is kind of ruling Sarah's life right now. And then hopefully she would become a little less identified with it if it's done in a way that works. Okay? And then, it's just through doing it and being with it, we discover how to find out a cold part in Sarah. Okay? So, but we're not really doing it on air right now. Maybe we should, but we're not right now. And so the thing is to try to get the principles of how to do it. Okay, so first of all, Sarah, you have to be really committed to making it work. And of course, those hot-headed sides of you that have become very strong, it's not in their interest that you change or that you become a bit more balanced. And often they would think that you want to find a kind of cold inner characters in order to throw the hotheads out. So it's also very, very important to say to them and to explain to them that that is not the idea. The idea is to have them all, you know, to kind of, it's a win-win situation, both having the passionate and hot-headed and even the rude parts available and as part of the whole, but also at the same time have a good balance, you know, some kind of balance, and also have these kind of colder inner selves active too. And then from your aware eye, you can choose and you can navigate and you can combine, you know, things.
Oh, wow. It will be amazing.
It will be amazing. It really will be amazing. So you have to be really, really committed from your aware eye to achieving that. And then you need to explain to the inner selves that are very, very hot and aggressive that you're not against them and you appreciate what they've given you and what they're going to continue to give you in your life.
Really
They're all important. And yet you also need to be more balanced. And you are the leader of this thing. You can't allow them to drive you, because they'll drive you straight into the hillside or straight into a building because they're hot-headed, you know, that's their nature. And that's also their charm. Okay. What?
They want to come to the bank in צמיגים בוערים.
Yes, so they want to come to the bank and burn it up.
Yeah.
Okay, now the bank won't like that. They don't usually, you know, appreciate that kind of approach. And you need the money, right?
Yeah.
So you, and these parts also want you to get the money. The hot-headed parts are trying to help you, but they have to understand that it doesn't work that way. They can't hold the wheel of your car. They can give you their passion, their energy, their, I don't know, heat, and all sorts of wonderful things. But you need to drive the car from your aware eye. And in order to be in the aware eye, you must find out cool-headed inner characters, and you have them. And you have to start believing that they're there, you know, and you just need to uncover them. You don't even need to invent them out of thin air. It's part of the human DNA, from my point of view. That's how I see it.
Of the arsenal, you told me.
Yes. So everybody has at least a little bit of everything in potential. Okay? Not every potential is actualized.
I know
you need to actualize that.
I only now know how to do it by humor. I met a friend of mine, and we were like two English women in the party, and I was laughing so much that she's. I told her she's teaching me. I told her about you, and I told her I'm now studying from her the cold. And she was giving me instructions in the middle of the party.
Cool. Wonderful.
I wanted to dance with the actor, because I really like dancing with the men. So and if I see a good dancer, that's it. I must. So I danced with him, and then I came to her and I said, "Did you see us?" Because he was really. He was really an amazing dancer. She said, "Yes, I saw it." And she said, "Now go and breathe and be cool."
Okay. So, you know, and you need to be patient with that, because it takes time to figure out how to do that. And also you need to be very careful not to flip. Okay, what I don't think it's going to happen to you, but sometimes some people manage to flip to the other side. So they were hot-headed and then they become cool as I don't know what, as icebergs.
That's what happened to me with the cold. With the, I was really praying to God to give me the ka'as. I didn't get angry with. I was first time in my life angry when I was 56. It's really
yes. So good for you. So Sarah, are you listening? So good for you that you managed to find your anger. Cool. Okay.
Really?
Yes.
No, I feel very powerful now.
Right, because it empowered you. But the real empowerment is when you have both sides. Okay. It's really, really like a good example for this would really be like you said, dancing. Imagine the difference between dancing when you only have one leg and you try to dance on one leg, which is in your case right now, anger and aggressiveness and rudeness. It can be an interesting dance, but it doesn't work very well and there's little you can do. But if you have two legs and one is aggressiveness and anger and the heat and the passion and the empowerment that all that brings, and the other leg is a kind of coolness and rationality and logic and self-control and all sorts of other things like that, and politeness and you know, being like an old-fashioned British aristocrat or something like that. Okay, then imagine your dance. Then how interesting it would be if you have both, and how balanced you can feel inside between these two polarities. Okay, and how flexible and how free and how happy, you know, because it's such fun to have everything, you know, and not to be one-sided. And it simply works. It works. So you know what you need to do. Don't go against your angry and passionate sides. Accept them, enjoy them, and keep them. Okay?
But yesterday I heard myself talking כמו בהמה, לא צריך להסביר לך.
Okay, so what Sarah is saying, that she was surprised to hear herself talking, almost, you know, in a very, very rude way.
Yeah, because they're all men that negotiate with me, and I feel like, I don't know, lately I also feel the hatred of men to women in this cohort, and then it makes me very angry.
It makes an inner part of you very angry. Okay, try to see how you're talking about it. Don't say it makes me angry. It makes one of my inner selves very, very angry. Okay, and this way you're starting the separation between you know, you're stopping to identify with whoever is really angry when men speak in a certain way or treat you in a certain way. And again, all the parts are important, and the part that is becoming angry about that is important to accept and understand as well. They all have gifts for us. Okay, but if it's ruling you, you won't get very far with it, and your life won't work very well usually. Okay, so try to kind of say that to all your parts. I want you all. I'm not going against anyone. I'm not giving you in order to get you. I'm not giving you up, I mean, in order to get something else. I want you all, because that works. And that's also fun. And that also feels good.
The problem that I have, I was watching The Crown also a few months ago already. before you told me about the cold characters, I wanted to learn to be politically correct and
that's a good part too.
Elegance.
Good part too. Good ideas. Diplomatic.
Diplomatic, and which I don't have the character of diplomatic, but so now they say she's Illuminati. Elizabeth, I watched all the series studying this English.
So listen, this is not my my area of expertise, so so I won't I won't be able to say a lot about it.
No,
but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not about the Queen of England or anything like that. It's about you becoming whole, you becoming balanced, you allowing yourself to be both this and that. And everything else for now is irrelevant.
I want to do it because I want to be successful.
Yeah, and okay, so continue working, and just as you found your anger, you will find your inner cucumbers as well. From cool as cucumbers, if you know that expression. Okay. So we need to finish now and end this show. Thank you very much for bringing this important issue. And see you next week. Bye-bye, everyone, and thanks a lot for joining me. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
תודה רבה.
תודה. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See you soon.